Welcome to Mindset and Stone podcasts, where we dive deep into the most compelling books on the shelf. Join hosts Dave and Poppy as they uncover the stories, themes, and ideas that shape our understanding and inspire curiosity. Get ready to explore the big ideas that leave a lasting impact. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Mindset and Stone podcast, the place where we really dig into those foundational texts on personal development and success. We're aiming to give you a dynamic blueprint for action.
And today, we're doing a really critical deep dive. We're looking at Denis Waitley's classic, Seeds of Greatness. It's a landmark work, really, built around what he calls the 10 best-kept secrets of total success.
Yeah, and Denis Waitley, this isn't just some theorist. He's a behavioral scientist. Spent, 2 decades embedded with top performers.
That's right. We're talking astronauts getting ready for missions, Olympic athletes going for gold, CEOs making huge decisions, top-tier people.
His whole goal, it seems, was to cut through the noise.
Right.
Filter out the business fads, the fleeting psych trends.
Exactly. To distill the core timeless attitudes, the principles that actually define excellence, things that don't change with the economy or the industry, real fundamentals.
And the book, it starts so powerfully with this really personal origin story, not in some lab, but in a garden.
Waitley talks about learning this central metaphor, planting seeds, in the ground, but also in people from his grandmother, Mabel.
She was a proofreader. Lived 87 years, apparently without complaint, which is, that's pretty remarkable in itself.
And it makes you wonder, what was the secret sauce there? What gave her that resilience?
That kind of contentment sustained over a lifetime, it's rare. It points to something deep, a philosophy that worked regardless of what life threw at her. What does she tell him?
Her core message, and it really is the cornerstone of the whole book, was simple but profound. Things don't matter as much as your attitude toward them.
Okay, so it's not about luck or IQ scores?
Nope. She believed the real seeds of greatness are these attitudes, these beliefs we soak up early on, and they can turn into these mental cables, either holding us back with doubt or making us strong enough to face challenges.
That sets up our mission perfectly for this deep dive. We're going to focus hard on those first 3 foundational seeds: self-esteem, creativity, and responsibility.
Right, because these are the attitudes that, if you internalize them, can genuinely change your whole path toward success.
So the goal today is to pull out the concrete steps, the actionable stuff you need to actually plant these seeds, starting right now.
Couldn't agree more. And that journey, it absolutely starts with the bedrock, the first seed, self-esteem.
Okay, seed 1, Waitley's first best-kept secret. It's an internal thing, he says. We have to feel love, value inside ourselves first.
Precisely. Unconditional value before we can genuinely give it away. It's a critical point.
Why unconditional?
Because, Waitley argues, self-worth has to be this internal feeling of acceptance, no strings attached.
Yeah.
If you don't have that core feeling, you end up needing love, becoming dependent on people, constantly looking outside for security.
Which is the opposite of the strength needed for success.
Exactly. That dependency undermines greatness.
Okay.
And right away, this internal quest bumps up against the biggest barrier, fear.
Yes. FEAR, Waitley's famous acronym. Fear is false education appearing real.
Spot on. It's all that programming, often subconscious, telling us we're not good enough or the world's out to get us. And Waitley breaks down this false education into 3 dominant fears that really chew away at self-esteem. These come even before thinking about, fear of physical harm.
Okay, let's unpack those. The first one sounds familiar, the fear of rejection.
Oh yeah, everyone grapples with this. It's that gut-wrenching dread of looking foolish, being ridiculed, failing in front of others. Waitley traces it right back to childhood.
The no's, the put-downs.
The negative nicknames, parents or teachers saying you're so clumsy or can't you do anything right. Those little critiques plant these weeds of fear. They teach us our value is tied only to how well we perform.
And that creates adults who are maybe overly sensitive to criticism, afraid to speak up.
Definitely. Always second-guessing themselves. And that fear naturally leads into the second big one, the fear of change.
Makes sense. If you're scared of being rejected, you're not going to want to rock the boat.
Exactly. Change means heading into the unknown, breaking tradition, risking public failure or criticism. So people cling to security, position. They'd rather just go with the system, even if it means sacrificing growth.
Okay. But the third one seems counterintuitive. The fear of success. How can you fear getting what you want?
It sounds odd, right? But Waitley argues it's often really the fear of trying. because you anticipate the failure or the scrutiny or maybe even the responsibility that comes with succeeding.
So you kind of sabotage yourself beforehand.
It can manifest like that. Or is this deep-seated guilt, a subconscious belief like good things don't happen to people like me, or you can't expect to get ahead? It stems from a lifetime of absorbing critical messages, believing good stuff is conditional, maybe temporary.
And the signs you see in people struggling with this, things like rationalizing why they can't or just putting things off.
Procrastination, absolutely. And rationalization. Waitley calls it failure reinforcement, looking back at past mistakes and using them to predict future failures. It becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy, all fueled by low self-esteem.
Wow. Okay, to make this more concrete, Waitley uses an anecdote, right? About a dog, Buckwheat.
Yeah, Buckwheat the Yorkshire Terrier. It sounds strange, maybe, but it perfectly illustrates this human need for unconditional acceptance.
What happened to Buckwheat?
Well, the poor little guy, a beloved pet, fell in the pool, then rolled in fertilizer. After a lot of washing, he lost his coat, his beauty, and critically, the family he loved laughed at him.
Oh no, the laughter.
That was the rejection. Waitley observed Buckwheat just retreated under the sofa, shivering, cowering. He lost more than fur. He lost his sense of belonging, his self-esteem. The laughter told him he wasn't valued unconditionally anymore.
And the parallel to humans is pretty clear. Low self-esteem makes us feel afraid, alone, rejected.
Exactly. Buckwheat needed constant reassurance, holding, stroking that physical sign of unconditional love to recover. Waitley calls that love the most precious gift you can give someone whose self-worth is shaken.
This really shifts the focus. It's not just about managing our own fear, but how we impact others' self-esteem. Which brings us neatly to our first practical takeaway. This feels vital for, well, everyone, parents, bosses, mentors.
Absolutely. Practical takeaway 1. Separate performance from performer. This is like the golden rule for building self-esteem in others. You have to consciously stop yourself from planting those fear seeds.
So it's about the action, not the person. If someone messes up, you focus only on the behavior.
Correct. Constantly treat the behavior or the performance as totally separate from their inherent worth or character. Avoid destructive labels.
Like instead of saying, you're lazy, which attacks their identity.
Use objective, action-focused feedback. Something like, that report doesn't quite line up with the data we have. Let's go through it together. Or maybe, your numbers this month are below the target we agreed on, but I know you're capable of hitting it. Let's figure out what support you need.
It keeps their self-worth intact while still addressing the issue. And how you deliver it matters too, right?
Critically. Waitley says always criticize the performance privately. Humiliation is the worst punishment. But praise the performer quickly, genuinely, and often publicly.
So public praise reinforces that positive self-image.
Exactly. It strengthens those mental cables of self-worth. It teaches that mistakes are just part of growth, not a definition of who you are. That foundation of internal value is what allows us to move on to the next big seed.
Which is creativity. Okay, let's dive into the second seed.
All right, the second secret. This one's really about the power of the mind. Waitley's core assertion here is that the mind cannot tell the difference between an actual experience and an imaginary experience that is repeated vividly and emotionally.
Okay, that's huge. If our subconscious buys into imagined stuff as real, we can literally program ourselves for success or failure.
That's the idea. It hinges on understanding what Waitley calls the self-image robot.
The self-image robot, explain that.
Think of your self-concept, how you see yourself, as this robot. It's programmed entirely by the input it gets, your self-talk, what you watch, feedback from others, and its only job is to follow its programming.
And crucially, it doesn't judge.
Right, it lacks judgment.
Yep.
It doesn't know true from false, good from bad. It just executes the instructions.
So if you're constantly feeding it tapes like, I'm terrible with money, or I always choke under pressure,
the robot will obediently steer your behavior to make those things happen. It might even sabotage good opportunities just to prove the programming right.
But successful people, they have different tapes running.
Exactly. Their internal tapes say things like, I can tackle new challenges, or I'm good at finding solutions. The problem is, most of us are constantly feeding this robot mental junk food.
Like what?
Mass media designed to shock or manipulate, negative news cycles. It leads to what Waitley calls mental malnutrition. Think about it. If a 60-second ad can change your buying habits with repetition, what do hours of negativity do to your self-concept over years?
Scary thought. So the answer is conscious programming, deliberate mental rehearsal.
Yes, using that instant replay factor Waitley talks about. Not just athletes reviewing great plays, but applying it to life.
And the proof for this is pretty stunning. The Vietnam POWs, the Iranian hostages?
Yeah, the book uses these examples powerfully. These individuals survived horrific confinement, sometimes torture, by mastering the art of doing within while doing without.
Doing within while doing without. What does that mean in practice? It wasn't just daydreaming.
No, far from it. It was structured mental mastery. Stripped of all external control, they'd mentally rebuild entire college courses from memory. They'd play complex rounds of golf in their minds, visualizing every shot, planning future games. One Iranian hostage mentally planned and took a 444-day train journey across continents. It wasn't just killing time, it was reinforcing an internal locus of control, an image of themselves as active and exploring, even when physically confined.
So, using past successes, instant replay, and visualizing future ones, pre-play wasn't just coping, it actually strengthened them, made winning, surviving feel like an internal reflex.
That's the key insight. And Waitley stresses that to do this effectively, you need whole brain thinking. He references Dr. Roger Sperry's work.
Right, the right brain stuff. Left is logical, verbal, critical.
And the right brain is visual, intuitive, emotional. It accepts messages based on images and feelings, less on logic.
So creativity, meaning the ability to accept these new positive mental scripts, needs you to quiet down that dominant, critical left brain, the voice that says, it's silly, you can't do that.
Exactly. You need to bypass the inner critic so the right brain, the feeling visual side, can absorb the positive input.
And there are methods for this, like involving relaxation or music.
Yes, methods developed by researchers like Lozanov, superlearning, and Budzinski, twilight learning. They use deep relaxation, sometimes soft music, suggestopedic music, to basically turn down the volume on the left brain's analysis. When it's relaxed, the right brain becomes highly suggestible.
Okay, this leads perfectly into our next practical takeaway. How do we consciously control that inner dialogue? How do we feed the robot good stuff?
Practical takeaway 2. Controlling self-talk scripting success. Waitley gives a very specific method for this.
Okay, lay it out for us.
First, write out brief, concise affirmations. Really short, like 4 seconds long. They absolutely must use the pronoun I and strong present tense verbs.
Present tense. Why is that so important?
Because you want the subconscious to accept it as happening now. So not I will enjoy, but I am enjoying the process, not I hope to earn, but I am earning a high income, or I am easily handling this challenge.
Okay, I am present tense. Got it. Then what?
Then you record these statements. Waitley suggests repeating each one 3 times, maybe varying the tone slightly affirmative, commanding, softer. And then you listen back to them very softly, mixed with calming music.
Mixed with music. Why softly?
The key is the volume balance. The music should actually be slightly louder than your recorded voice. This is clever. It prevents the logical left brain from latching onto the words and analyzing them, asking, is that really true?
So it bypasses the critic.
Exactly. The right brain just absorbs the positive message as a feeling, an image. It helps re-script that inner video cassette without a fight from your logical side.
That focus on the image, the feeling, brings us to the next takeaway about visualization itself. It's not just what you visualize, but how.
Right. Practical takeaway 3. The visualization rule. This is crucial. When you mentally rehearse success, you have to see it from a first-person perspective, like you're looking out through your own eyes.
Not watching yourself like in a movie.
No. If you watch yourself from the outside, you're just an observer. It keeps a distance between your self-image and the success.
But if you see it through your own eyes,
it becomes an actual experience for the subconscious robot. It accepts it as reality. That active first-person view, combined with the present tense self-talk, convinces your self-image that success is happening now. That's how imagination starts to shape reality.
Okay, powerful stuff. We've covered internal value, self-esteem, and internal programming creativity. Now, how does this connect to the real world? That brings us to the third seed, responsibility.
Yes, responsibility. This is where belief meets action. It's grounded in that fundamental law of cause and effect, sowing and reaping. As Mabel put it, we become what we do. Our choices, our actions, they write our story.
But Waitley sees a big obstacle here in modern society, doesn't he? Something that stops people fully embracing this cause and effect.
He does. He calls it the disease of immediate gratification, a major hurdle to self-reliance.
Immediate gratification. Wanting it all now.
Pretty much. He describes it as an irresponsible obsession with immediate sensual gratification, wanting the rewards without the work, the love without the commitment, the security without the savings.
And this undermines maturity.
Psychoanalysts like Aaron Stern, whom Waitley cites, identified 2 key capacities for emotional maturity that this disease just destroys. 1, the ability to live with uncertainty, and 2, the ability to delay gratification.
And if adults aren't modeling delayed gratification, demanding quick fixes,
You end up raising dependent individuals, people who want the perks of being grown up but lack the coping skills and sense of responsibility that have to go with it.
the societal effects he talks about are pretty stark.
Devastating, really. This inability to cope with uncertainty, this avoidance of effort or discomfort, leads people to desperate escape routes. He points to horrifying stats, like suicide being the second leading cause of death among U.S. teenagers at the time he was writing.
And he connects drug use to this, too.
Specifically cocaine, which he refers to by the slang term snow. He labels it the national immediate gratification status symbol, a way to get a synthetic good feeling instantly, bypassing any need for real effort or commitment. It's ultimately self-destructive, a total avoidance of responsibility.
Wow. It paints a picture of a culture almost running from responsibility from the natural ups and downs of life. Is there a contrast he offers?
Yes, he looks at the Japanese model, particularly their business culture at the time. Their decision-making process, nemawashi, involves getting agreement from everyone before acting. It's slow, maybe, but it ensures shared responsibility.
And financially.
More critically, he highlights their cultural emphasis on saving, aiming for around 20% of income, actively choosing future security over immediate consumption.
Which is a big contrast to the disposable income mindset often seen elsewhere, where the impulse buy wins. This really highlights the core choice, doesn't it? Accept things as they are,
Or accept responsibility for changing them. That's it. And taking responsibility is actually the key to beating fear.
How so?
Fear dissolves with knowledge and action. You have to stop just worrying, stewing about it, and actually start doing something.
And there's data on this, about how much of our fear is just noise.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. He cites a University of Michigan study suggesting 60% of our fears are totally unwarranted, just imagined anxieties. Another 20% are about things already past. 10% are too trivial to matter.
So that leaves only 10% that are real fears.
Real and justifiable fears, yes. And get this, of that 10%, only about 2% are things we can actually solve. And how do we solve them? By taking action. Stop stewing, start doing.
So most worry is just that false education appearing real, taking responsibility for the tiny fraction that's real and solvable, that's self-reliance.
Precisely. Which leads us to a very practical set of steps. Our fourth takeaway.
Okay, let's get practical again. How do we build that muscle of responsibility?
Practical takeaway 4. The 7 C's of self-control. Waitley lays out these principles for building self-discipline. Let's focus on the first 4. They pack a real punch.
All right, first C.
Control the clock. How we manage our time is a direct mirror of our self-discipline and priorities.
Simple advice here.
Brutally simple, but profound. Get up half an hour earlier. Use that quiet time to set your own profitable priorities before the world starts making demands. And practice the handle it once rule for paperwork or emails. Decide immediately, delegate it, file it, do it. Don't let things pile up and drain your energy.
Makes sense. Okay, second C.
Control our concepts. This loops right back to creativity and imagination.
Reminding ourselves that imagination leads to realization.
Exactly. We have to actively manage our concepts, what we believe is possible. Filter out those limiting beliefs the self-image robot might be running on. Nurture possibility.
Third C.
Control our contacts. This is about managing your environment, the people you're around.
So consciously choosing who influences you.
Yes. Proactively seek out successful role models, mentors, positive people who embody the values you want. If your current environment is negative, you might need to change it. Your contacts aren't just who you talk to, they're who you absorb energy and ideas from.
Okay, and the fourth C, this one sounds liberating. Control our commitments.
Hugely important, especially if you feel constantly stressed, under the gun. It means mastering the art of saying no.
Protecting your time.
Protecting your time and your integrity. Only commit to what you can comfortably deliver. Waitley makes a great point. Saying no up front is far less damaging to your reputation and stress levels than having to say, sorry, I couldn't get it done later. Self-control includes respecting your own boundaries.
Okay, self-esteem, creativity, responsibility. Solid foundation. How do these play out in the long game? This leads into wisdom, right? The fourth seed.
Yes, wisdom connects responsibility directly to ethics, to honesty. Waitley uses the integrity triangle here. It's a great mental checklist before making any significant decision.
3 questions form the sides of this triangle.
That's right. First, is this true? Second, is this what I genuinely believe I should do? And third, is what I'm saying consistent with what I actually do? It forces that internal alignment.
But the real wisdom, it's in the base of the triangle.
Exactly, the foundation. That question is, how will this affect others? True wisdom, Waitley suggests, is the ability to think ahead, to anticipate the likely impact of our choices on other people, family, colleagues, community before we act, especially if we stand to profit. That foresight is a measure of real wealth, both spiritual and material.
Okay, wisdom links to others. Then we move to the fifth seed, purpose. This brings us back to those stark numbers about financial security.
Right. Only 3 out of 100 Americans reaching 65 financially secure, according to the data he used. Even among high earners, the rate wasn't much better.
And the reason for that failure, like 95% failing, it's not external factors.
Mostly internal, Waitley argues, is because people simply fail to plan their lives. They'll spend more time planning a party or a 2-week vacation than they do defining their long-term purpose. So they essentially plan to fail by default.
Purpose needs clarity, and there's that great little story he tells about the kid, Eric.
Yes, Eric, the 10-year-old. It's a brilliant example of effective goal setting. While all the adults in the seminar were talking vaguely, earn more, be happier, Eric was incredibly specific about his goal, 20 years out.
He did the math right there. I'll be 30.
Living in Houston or Cape Canaveral, I'll be a space shuttle astronaut putting up new TD satellites. Bam!
The power is in the detail, the lack of hedging.
And the lack of cynicism. He defined it by age, location, profession, specific action. The cynical adults, held back by fear of failure, just talked in circles. Eric's clear vision, his natural use of that present tense visual scripting we talked about, was his advantage.
Which leads us to practical takeaway number 5. How do you structure our purpose like Eric did?
Practical takeaway 5. Defining specific goals using the Wheel of Fortune. This is Waitley's tool for comprehensive goal setting.
The Wheel of Fortune, like a pie chart.
Exactly. Divided into 8 slices, covering a balanced life, family, financial, mental, physical, spiritual, social, professional, and community support.
And the action is?
Define specific, written, time-limited goals in each area. The key is they should be just out of your current reach, but not out of sight. Challenging, yes, but believable enough to keep you motivated.
And then refine them, like the self-talk exercise.
Yes. Take those written goals, put them on small cards, use I, and present tense verbs as if they're already achieved. I enjoy being debt-free. I am successfully finishing my degree. You're planting that purpose seed deep in your subconscious.
Okay, purpose sets the direction, but what keeps you going when things get tough? That must be perseverance, the 9th seed.
Absolutely. Perseverance or the will to win. This is the ultimate test, really. It requires all the other seeds working together, the willingness to keep going despite setbacks, which are inevitable.
And Waitley uses that famous quote here, often linked to Lombardi, but maybe Ray Kroc?
Right, the McDonald's founder popularized it. Press on. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Genius will not. Education will not. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. It underlines the core insight. High achievement isn't just about ability. It's about willingness.
So the 9th secret is that winners are just more willing.
Willing to do the things most people are unwilling to do. It's not that others can't learn or work hard. Often they're just not willing to put in the sustained effort.
And the story of Wilma Rudolph, that's a powerful illustration of this.
Incredible story. Born prematurely, battled polio, scarlet fever, wore heavy leg braces as a child. Doctors basically wrote off her chances of walking normally.
But she decided otherwise.
Around age 11, she started her own secret rehab program, took off the braces when no one was looking, practiced walking. Her mom even helped cover for her, pretending to massage her legs when the braces had been off for hours.
That inner decision, that private persistence, that's the will to win.
That's the core of it. Then she gets onto a track team, partly by accident, meets Coach Ed Temple. But the real mindset shift
Came from a friend, Melly Fags.
Yeah. May challenged her, basically said, just qualifying for the Olympics isn't enough. You got to go for the gold.
Reframing the goal from good enough to excellence.
Exactly. And by the 1960 Rome Olympics, Wilma Rudolph does the unthinkable. For a woman at that time, wins 3 gold medals in track, all in world record times. From a childhood crippled by illness to a global icon. Proof of persistence.
The common thread seems to be focusing on the effort, not just the outcome, which connects to our final takeaway for this section.
Practical takeaway 6. Perseverance in the face of the dip. This is key. When you start anything new and significant new job, fitness plan, business venture, expect a temporary dip in performance or results. It's natural.
Don't let the logical brain scream failure at that point.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Recognize the dip as normal, temporary. Productivity will increase as you gain familiarity and confidence. If you hit a wall, get feedback. If you keep hitting it, maybe adjust the immediate goal slightly, make it closer, but don't stop moving forward. Accepting that temporary dip is part of the will to win.
Okay, we've covered the core attitudes and the long game elements. Now, how do we tie it all together? The 10th secret. Perspective.
Yes, perspective. This integrates everything. It's about seeing life from the inside out, defining what success really means. Waitley uses this incredibly powerful metaphor, the star thrower. It came to him after a near-drowning experience.
The star thrower.
Yeah.
What's the scene?
He's on a beach observing two types of people after a storm. First, there are the collectors. They're frantically grabbing living sea creatures, starfish, shells, stuffing them into buckets.
To keep them.
To boil them, keep them as possessions. Consumed by this, greedy madness to own bits of life, maybe show them off.
And the other type?
Just one person, the solitary star thrower. This individual walks along, gently picks up living starfish washed ashore, and throws them back into the ocean one by one, hoping they'll survive.
The contrast.
It's the ultimate shift in perspective. The collectors think happiness is about accumulating things, owning, consuming. The star thrower understands happiness isn't a thing you possess.
It's an experience.
It's the spiritual experience of participating in life, of giving, not just taking, of living each moment with love, grace, gratitude. The real treasure, the source of true success, isn't out there to be collected.
That's a profound shift, moving from collecting life to celebrating and contributing to it. That perspective unlocks everything else we've discussed. So, with that in mind, we've got one final practical challenge for you, linking back to faith. The 7th secret, expecting good results.
Practical takeaway 7, the Star Thrower Challenge. Okay, here it is. This week, set aside 30 uninterrupted minutes for a positive creative activity you usually push aside.
Could be anything. A hobby, writing, drawing, maybe just focused, unhurried time with a loved one.
Exactly, something you value but postpone. And as you do it, consciously repeat a short affirmation, not about the outcome, but about the joy of the effort itself in the present tense.
Like, I am enjoying this process. I am finding flow in this moment.
Perfect. Focus purely on the doing, the engagement, not the end result.
And one more thought from Waitley via Mabel.
If you feel yourself sliding into negativity or losing perspective this week, try dedicating just 30 minutes to consciously redirecting your thoughts towards helping others. Even something simple like watching kids play and trying to catch their sense of wonder can reset your perspective.
It all comes back to attitude and action. Remember those words that separate the achiever from the spectator. The will to win is everything.
Plant the seeds of great ideas and you will get great individuals. You understand now?
Absolutely. Until next time on the Mindset in Stone podcast, keep planting, keep nurturing those seeds.
We hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a spark of inspiration. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and check back for more episodes as we dive into new worlds of thought, one book at a time. Until then, keep your mind set in stone and your curiosity open. This has been a Big L Riz Media podcast, where big ideas meet lasting impressions.